ass. More like ass, am I right? Actually, I like this film. Chris, would you like to tell us what the synopsis is?
Glass is a sequel to both Unbreakable and Split. So Bruce Willis returns as David Dunn, called the Watcher, who's now using his superhero abilities to save the town that he lives in, and he finds out about what happened in events in Split, and then he goes out to find the Horde, who's played again by James McAvoy, and they're both caught and sent to a mental asylum, where he's joined again by he's reunited with Elijah, aka Mr. Glass. Once again played by Samuel L. Jackson.
So, quick recap of Split. For those of you who haven't seen it, Split was a film about a guy with multiple personalities who kidnapped teenage girls, tormented them for a couple of days, and then killed them to feed a personality called the Beast. And as we found out in the very end, that is actually in the same universe as Unbreakable. And so we didn't realise we were watching a supervillain origin when we first saw Split.
No. So that's why, if you've seen Split just once, I say watch it again, because then you're in the whole mindset of it's a superhero film, so the ending doesn't seem as silly or out of place as it did the first time. Say as well, one of the girls who was caught, she managed to escape, and she plays a crucial role in Glass also.
I do like that they did get a lot of people back in this. Like they got Glass's mother, they got David Dunn's son. I think they got his wife back for like that flashback. I think that's her.
I think you only see the back of her though, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether it is, but well, either way, yeah.
I might be wrong, but I think that might be the same woman.
Also, Glass has a very short scene that was originally intended for Unbreakable, but they cut it out and they brought it back in, which kind of worked. But
it was great because like you saw Bruce Willis, but he looked like he did in the 2000s.
Yeah,
using a deleted scene in your sequel as a flashback, that's brilliant.
I might be sounding a bit critical here, but you know, it's like the lighting is very different to that film. But then again, you could argue, oh, it's flashback, so they want to make sure the light is different, so you know it's flashback, so it gets away with it. But it's nice still to have that.
It also has a bit of like, you can kind of tell when like it shifts to old style Shyamalan acting, where it's a bit more. People are whispering a lot more. I should be looking directly into the camera when I say this, as I read my lines very carefully.
Yeah, you can tell he's a
as
different
the
person,
audience
isn't it?
falls asleep. So speaking of his style, so let's get his pretentious style out of the way. His slow pan conversations, the stilted acting, and my personal favourite is the staring unblinking into the camera. It's such an irritation.
Yeah, well, it might be irritating, but I think it really works in this film. Okay, because they are joined by a psychiatrist, played by the actress whose name I always forget. I'm sorry. But there's a scene where she's looking directly at the camera. It's like a shot of her face, but she's not blinking. And I've got to admit, I felt really comfortable in those scenes. And it might be by accident or it's intentional, but it really worked. I mean, the whole stilted acting, you know, where you don't blink and looking directly at the camera, I think it worked for this film. And the way they were speaking as well just made me feel really uncomfortable. It made me feel like someone was analysing how I thought as well.
I didn't get that vibe in this. I got that in Split. Like, I very much felt like that in Split, like how uncomfortable it was. And it felt like the style worked in the same way. I didn't feel like this had the same effect on me. But at the same time, I don't feel like I wasn't laughing like I was in Unbreakable at some points. Which the style in that was just really just weird. So here I'd say like it kind of evens out a bit. So-so.
Good to say as well. Like, I mean, I think this film did get quite a lot of negative reviews. But I think this is one of Shyamalan's best directed films in a long, long time. I mean, you can tell by the way he has the camera set up and the shots he does and direction. You can tell he's back to the confident director he was back at Sixth Sense and the Unbreakable days. But I like as well what his direction to detail. With you know, it's like in the in that big room that they share, where it's all like a salmon colour. Now, I don't know what it is, but that colour as well, it just feels very it left me being a bit bemused in a very out of place, but I think that was done intentionally. I don't know what it is, but it was another bit where I just felt really uncomfortable again, and with the music adding to that as well. But this is another thing I liked about this film. It doesn't feel the same movie that Unbreakable was or that Split was. It's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest meets Superman. That's what it felt like to me. Like, what if Superman was in a mental asylum?
I think that's the plot of Brightburn. But like you were saying about the colour, because they bring back like the colours they used in Unbreakable in this. That the green is the colour of superheroes, orange is the colour of the brute, and purple is the colour of like the main villain. I didn't comment on that in the Unbreakable review because that would have given away the twist, which I didn't want to do. For the off chance that you haven't seen the twist of Unbreakable, if you watched this film or this review,
you wouldn't watch
spoilers for that film from 10 years ago. But like, it really does help. Like, use of colour, it's very like vibrant.
Yes.
In the way it's used, whereas Unbreakable was a lot more flushed out. It kind of contrasted with that.
Okay.
So the best part of the film, I gotta say, is the Horde, played by James Franco, who's pretty much awesome in everything, except maybe Wanted. I haven't seen Wanted in a while.
I've not seen Wanted at all. But James McAvoy, I think
I
think James McAvoy is another underrated actor. He's played so many iconic roles. I mean, I still think his best performance is in Filth, and like people think sometimes, what is Filth? But see, you need to watch more of these films. But what's great about this is you see a lot more of his personalities. A lot more. You know, in Splits, you might have thought, oh, hang on, it said he's got 23 personalities. We only saw about 5 or 6. You see loads more in this one. They use this technology, this flash technology, that gives him an impulse to change personality. And then there's this lovely shot where the camera is spinning round. And you see the flash, and then you see him again. He's a different character. But each of these characters, they feel different. None of them feel the same. And it's a whole of his body language, his voice, his facial expressions. You can tell that he's really spent time thinking of these. I would not be surprised if he wrote a profile for each one of these characters, given real depth. Or Shyamalan did it for him.
You notice when he's playing a different character, like Patricia will sit a certain way. Like there's this character who's like very uptight, he's like obsessive compulsive and like a neat freak. Like he's having a conversation, it's like I think his character, the guy's name's Dennis.
Yeah,
like, can you bring Dennis out? And he just kind of shifts his body slowly into this thing. It's like, oh, Dennis is now in control. It's not like, it's a very subtle thing.
Yeah.
And I love that you can just kind of notice these different personalities and what their relationships are with each other.
Well, in Splits, when he plays Patricia, is it? The woman? He wears a dress. But in this one, there's a moment where he interacts with Mr. Glass. And because he's in a mental asylum, obviously he doesn't have the dress, he just has the clothes that were given to him. But when he's sitting down and he's in that posture, you know straight away, before he even speaks, which character he is. I think that shows signs of a talented actor, where it's like you don't need a costume just to know what kind of character he is. You just look at his body language.
I also like that, like the whole thing with the Beast. I kind of like the idea of playing off as like this challenge of faith for Patricia. Like she's the one who's been pushing to make the Beast come out, and now, because the whole point of the film is that the psychiatrist is trying to convince them that they're insane, that they don't have superpowers, that she's starting to doubt the Beast. And like this idea that like you believe that part of you was this god and now that might be taken away, and then she goes to Mr. Glass because he might be able to prove that he really is the Beast that she that she believes in her heart.
Oh yeah, we were going to talk about Mr. Glass next, aren't we?
We're talking about Mr. Glass. He's the other good villain part about this.
Yeah, this film is called Glass, but Mr. Glass does not show up till about halfway through the film, and I think that's good because you know he's coming, don't you? And when he appears first time, it feels like you only see a villain that you haven't seen for a long time come back. It has that, oh, I've missed you. Samuel L. Jackson still plays a role really well. Because in the beginning of the film, he seems to have just lost it completely. Doesn't want to eat his food, doesn't want to interact with anyone. Once David Dunn comes back and he notices the Horde, he starts to think, oh, I've got my nemesis back. I've got like a henchman here with me. I could do this. It's like a child being brought back. What he loves most.
I like that. So with the problem with M. Night Shyamalan is that a lot of times he feels like he's restricting his actors like, you act this certain way because it fits my style. But there always seems to be one actor who breaks through, and in Glass, it's both the Hood and Glass. Because he feels like he can just give like this very creepy performance combined with the direction. He feels like he can work with it a lot more than we see other times where it feels like he's kind of puppeting them. But it's kind of like the big draw is like how he interacts with like these situations and how he goes about foiling the doctors wanting the people to believe that they're normal. With occasional like funny moments, like he slits a guy's throat and then complains how long it took for him to find the right piece of glass to do that with. That felt like you wouldn't really think about that in a film.
No.
Like, ooh, it's just a piece of glass. It's like you have no idea how long to find one that could actually cook cleanly.
What I like about this as well, like in the first one, it's always mentioned how he has a high IQ. What's great is you see more of that intelligence come out of him in this film. I mean, there's a few twists that relate to his intelligence, we won't talk about now. But yeah, you can see throughout the whole film, you can tell that he's always 2 steps ahead of everyone else.
I love villains like it's like reminds me a lot of Jigsaw from the Saw films.
Yeah.
Like what makes them scary is like how not that they're over like they can outthink you, is that they've already outthought you. Like they've already won the game, they're just waiting for you to catch up. So the crux of like most arguments against this movie involves the ending and like the big twist. And I feel like
every other M. Night Shyamalan film.
I feel like if you like whether or not you like this film is going to depend on how you view the twist. Good. I feel like this is one of the ones that recontextualizes like the rest of the film and actually makes Glass into a protagonist rather than an antagonist. Well, it should be done because he's the superhero trying to stop the villain. But we'll discuss this more in the spoiler section. But I really liked how the twist kind of took the story and at the same time combined it with the story of Unbreakable and like what that film was going for. Do you have anything to say?
Well, I don't want to talk a lot about the ending because you can't talk about an ending without spoiling something. Yeah. I've seen this film twice now, and I respect the ending more the second time around, but it's still like, you had this going, then you just did that. I think it was the way it was executed for me, which is I just feel like he should have, before he starts shooting, just look back at the script and go, can I make this a little less cheesy, this ending? That's what I felt personally.
I like the quote that you gave me the first time you saw it, like we were just talking on Messenger, and your quote was, it's an hour and 45-minute good film before M. Night Shyamalan ruins everything.
Before he goes full Shyamalan.
He loses medication between takes and he just ruined everything.
Yeah, with M. Night Shyamalan, I think you all know by now that he has good ideas. Sorry, I'm thinking about that happening. No, that wasn't a good idea.
Oh god, the giggles have started.
Early M. Night Shyamalan has good ideas. Sometimes, though, the twist gets a bit silly, and then
Are you telling me that the compelling story of the Narfs wasn't a good idea? Are you starting to catch that might not be a good idea?
I would argue that The Village is a good film until you find the twist, which I think was like, I thought it was a bit shoehorned in, a bit like I don't think it had anything to do with the actual plot. It was just something to add on to it to go, make the audience go. It had no impact on the story.
I really like everyone in school, like when Science came, was like, "Oh, this is the scariest movie ever." This film, Science, and then the twist was so stupid. You won't believe what the alien's weakness is.
That's the
blunt force trauma.
That is the problem with a lot of his films. The twists are so laughably bad that it's like that bit in The Simpsons where when they announce who's Homer and Barney go in space, and people say, "Is this a joke?" I can imagine like a Q&A session with M. Night Shyamalan after his film's release. Go, was that ending a joke? No, really, was it a joke?
I think like the key to a good twist is like, does it change the way that you see the film? And I feel like it does for me with this. I don't know. Did you feel like the second time? You saw it in a different light.
I did see it in a different light, and some of the twists I thought was a bit silly. I thought, no, I respect that a bit more. I just think, first time I saw it, when I saw the way it was executed, I thought it was just a bit sloppy and a bit like all the twists were rushed. It's like you thought, oh yeah, we gotta do this twist. Oh, we gotta do this next one. It just did not come across as natural to me.
I think what you said was like it didn't feel like it was foreshadowed enough. And then I thought about it, I was like, I don't remember really seeing much foreshadowing for this.
No, there's a lot. That's what happens in a lot of his twists. Though I mean, spoilers. You haven't seen Sixth Sense, but the Sixth Sense. If you've not seen Sixth Sense, I haven't,
but I know the twist
okay.
because I existed ever since the Sixth Sense was around.
And you've watched every episode of Scrubs where they spoil it.
Well, of course I have.
Yeah, but if you've watched Sixth Sense, there are clues throughout the film that Bruce Willis' character is a ghost, so it works. But then you look at other films like Signs or The Village, where just there's not many foreshadowing at all. It's like, oh yeah, and by the way, this is a twist. That's what I felt. That the film was quite weak with these twists. Just because even with, we talk about twists now, or we?
I think we should get to our conclusion first.
Okay, come on.
Okay. Before we ruin too much for you, just so you know, there is a twist. You should be prepared for it. Personally, I like the ending. I felt like it gave the story much needed purpose. I was seriously ready to write the movie off before the twist as kind of lame. And then the twist, oh, that's what it all meant. But this is one of those many times when I'm clearly wrong compared to everybody else. So my words need to be taken with a lot of salt. So you might want to... I think this is definitely worth checking out to decide for yourself. But I don't know if I'm the best person to encourage you to see this film. I personally give this an 8. But I would say you could bump it down to a 6 if you didn't like the twist. What do you think?
I think this is a well-directed film for most of it by M. Night Shyamalan. I feel like he's got his groove back. I love the performances in this film, and I like the fact that he was not repeating himself. It does not feel like an Unbreakable film. It does not feel like a Split film. It feels like it has its own identity, but it's linked at the same time to those two films. I just think the ending could have been executed better. So I'm going to give this, on second view, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think Unbreakable is still the best out of the trilogy. I think this is the worst out of the three. I won't say it's bad, but it's great to see M. Night Shyamalan back to doing what he does best. And I hope he carries on making good films.
Okay, so between the two of you, between the two of us, hopefully you can figure out whether or not this is the right film for you. So, depending on how you feel about the end, this is either a good film or a good film that then went to bad. So we're going to talk about the spoiler part, so if you don't want to stay for that, take care now. Bye-bye then. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Do you want to ruin what the twist was?
Right, okay. So, the twist is that the psychiatrist who was with them in the mental asylum was assigned by this cult, or whatever you want to call it. She was assigned by them to convince these three men that they're not superheroes, because for some reason this cult does not want superheroes to exist. Now, did I miss something, or did it even explain why? Because what I can remember,
they did give an explanation for this.
Okay.
What she said was if these superheroes were allowed to roam free and they had access to all this power, it would just be chaos. Which, I mean, that's stupid. I mean, when has introducing superheroes into a universe led to any such chaos?
But the thing is, though, that's a pretty neat twist. I don't think it's not his best twist. It's not his worst. It's okay, but I just think that they should have hinted at it more in the film. Because you're not introduced to this cult until you're not introduced to this group of people until the end of the film. They should have had a few more hints. Like what Matt said before, to have a good twist, it needs to link into everything that's happened, make you think differently than what you've just seen. And yeah, I just think that the twist was just shoehorned in. It was an okay twist, but I think they should have mentioned it more, hinted at it more throughout the film.
Okay, so here's the way I kind of saw it. So the big twist after that twist, because there's 3 twists.
Oh yes.
Also, Mr. Glass killed the Horde's dad. and created the Hood. He's the father of all the superheroes, not just the Unbreakable one.
I know we have different opinions on this. I quite like that twist. I know it was a bit shoehorned, and it didn't need to be in, but I like the idea that Mr. Glass dies thinking, I created these heroes, you know, look what I've done for this world. You know, I like that side of it, because that's what, it's like in the first Unbreakable film, where you find out that he was responsible for that train crash. So he kind of created Unbreakable, made the Watcher.
It is kind of like that shot where, like, you see the dad walking on the train, and then it kind of pans across, and it's the same shot from Unbreakable.
Yes.
Like, I felt like that was pretty clever use of stock footage.
But what I like as well is it kind of ties those three characters together. They all relate to that train accident that happened many years ago, and that's implied at the end when his mother, Dave Dunn's son, and the girl who the Horde kidnapped were all together at that station.
So everybody who was like representing each of those characters,
and they were wearing the same colour that represented.
Same
colour code, yeah. They're wearing the same colour, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so the whole thing, the final twist is that Glass planned everything all along to stream the battle of the Horde and Dunn to the internet to expose superheroes to the world. Like, he was like building this up, like, there's this giant tower and they have a biochemical lab, and I'm going to set loose the Horde on all of these people and cause all this chaos unless you stop me. Yeah, and it was a giant misdirection. I loved it.
Yeah, that was right. But also that twist, that was a better twist, because in the film they're hinting at it, because you see him come out of his room and it doesn't show you fully what he's up to. But in the end, it all makes sense. So that was a better twist. And you know, when they reveal about the tower, I thought, oh, please don't say there's going to be a big fight on the tower, because I was really worried that we were going to see the Watcher fly or something. I thought, no, you've lost me, movie, you've lost me. But like,
what if the Watcher start flying? We put like Greatest American Hero music over it.
But the thing is, though, you know, it says like the tower and all that, because I think that's M. Night Shyamalan mocking the typical superhero film, because always a lot of them involved a tower. Somehow, yeah. Like Avengers, for example.
A giant monument. Any other superhero film would have got to that tower, but they never got to the tower.
No,
it's like that Simpsons episode where it's like, when are they going to get to the tower? And then they just drive past it.
No, it's good because the final showdown. Because what's really good is the final showdown takes place outside the mental asylum, which is good because it's like Shyamalan realizing that the Unbreakable trilogy is a smaller superhero trilogy than compared to Marvel and DC. He understands that. That's why he has that final showdown in that small area.
Okay. Alright, so here's how I interpreted the ending. I think that this ending makes Glass into the hero. Because the whole thing is, the real hero and villain is Glass and Dr. Staple, played by Sarah Paulson.
That's
the whole thing with the Watcher and the Horde is just set dressing. They're just pieces that he's moving around.
Yes.
They're just to get to his bigger goal, which is to spread this message to everyone in the world that you're special. So the way I kind of see it is like the idea of the society is kind of what we've seen throughout history in a lot of ways. Is like the people in the upper class keeping the lower class down, because the idea of like, if people realize that they have these abilities, that they are greater than they believe to be, then they'll rise up, they'll stand tall. It feels like what the whole thing with the internet at the end is kind of like what we have seen over the past couple of years. People are starting to realize that they can have a voice in the wider universe. Someone who like feels like they can't sing or something like that, and would never perform in public, can put music videos on the internet and people like them. It's like, holy shit, I have this amazing talent. And it's kind of like this way of breaking outside of the society's restraints. And it's kind of taking that idea in Unbreakable that like everybody is special, everybody can do all these things. That because like in Unbreakable, he was only able to lift stuff because he kept adding weight. It's like he's pushing himself further. It's not like suddenly he just flips the car over.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I feel like it kind of made it take on a different purpose than just a good guy fights a bad guy. and like
Yeah.
it's part of this grand message. That's how
It's
I feel.
definitely a character-focused movie, like Unbreakable and Split were as well. What was I going to say? What's great about this trilogy as well is each film is their own. Like Unbreakable is David Dunn's film. Split is obviously the horse film, and Glass
It's also the horse film.
Well, it is, but if you think about it, it is Mr. Even though he's not there for half of it, it is his film. Because at the end, like you were talking about then, it does tie all back to him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not really David Dunn or the Horde.
Because like they're not trying to convince Glass that he's crazy. He's just observing. When they're talking, she's just pointing out their faults and breaking down their arguments. Like, well, maybe this, and like, maybe you're not as special as you think you are because you were able to climb because people can do that all the time. The reason you thought that these people were bad was because you're just very perceptive, that kind of thing. And I like that, like, it turned her from just kind of an unbeliever into an actual villain who was actively trying to stop these superheroes.
Yes, that's right. You know, it's... You can tell Shyamalan's put a lot of thought and effort into this film, and it's good. It shows that he's trying again. He's not on autopilot anymore. What's going to do next?
I don't think he can have a fourth film in this. It felt like it ended perfectly.
He needs to go back to his thriller.
He needs the happening too. We need to see the second chapter. We need to happen what happens with the Nuffs.
To be honest, let Mark Wahlberg do that, 'cause it's funny seeing Mark Wahlberg in Happening play a professor.
What? No, he wasn't good.
I don't know if you heard about these bees.
It's pretty interesting, right?
Mark
So,
Wahlberg, you cannot play a professor and you cannot play an inventor. Please don't play those roles.
alright, so I think if you are a rational person, you'll probably hate this movie. If you're willing to snort paint thinner and overthink this movie to a ridiculous degree, then maybe you can find some hidden meaning that M. Night Shyamalan was probably just watching this like, nah, he doesn't want to see two people fight. What the hell are you talking about, idiot?
Yeah, my time ago. Yes, that's exactly. And the
That's
critics,
what I meant the entire time.
And the critics did not see that.
And then I'll have the critic attacked by the Nuff, and his representative of the critic being a big duty head.
One thing I was fearing. You actually can see on a side note. I love the fact that M. Night Shyamalan's character from the first film appears again.
I love that touch.
No, he's in all three of them. But you find that's the same character. I thought that's quite cool because he's not a good actor. He's not. But I thought when he came, I thought, oh no. But when he said that, I thought, okay, that's cool. That's fine.
Hey, I remember you from like the football stadium. It's like, oh, he is the same guy.
that's
That was a
cool.
pretty nice twist. That was a big twist.
No, that was a big
M. Night Shyamalan was the puppet master the whole time. We were just the chess pieces.
Yeah. Next up for him is
In this game with puppet strings and chess pieces that I'm not sure how it's played. I feel like the metaphor may have been lost somewhere.
Next film for M. Night Shyamalan, I think, is The Last Airbender 2. Because we all love the first one.
I finally want to see what they're going to do with Azula. I can't wait to be disappointed. By the way, watch this review again. Because now that we've revealed the twist, you can notice all the double meanings and the views count for 2. So remember to do that. Alright, take care now. Bye-bye then.
Bye.